Hey guys, welcome back to How to Build a Blog with Laravel. I'm your host, J.A. Curtis. You guys can call me Alex, and this is part 25 of How to Build a Blog with Laravel. This video is going to be about getting our blog ready. We created a blog controller. I just want to build that out a little bit and have some views that support that. And then we're going to go into our authentication in part 26, the next video, okay? So part 25 is just expanding our blog controller. And again, this should be more of a review episode for you guys. So you guys should already know most of this stuff. Actually, I think everything. I don't know if we're doing anything new. I just wanted to film what I'm doing so that I'm not doing stuff off screen that you guys aren't seeing. And that's why I'm doing this video, is just to get caught up on a few things before we move into authentication. And again, think of this as a review episode because you should already know all of this, all right? Because I don't think we're doing anything new that I can think of right now. Let's go ahead and let's dive in. All right, so part 25, I'm sorry, we're on part 25 right now, and we're gonna go ahead and expand out the blog controller that we created in the last video. First things first, I've actually had my stuff closed for a little bit now. We're gonna go ahead, just get into our project here, and open it up in Sublime. And I'm also gonna get the server running so we can take a look at our project as of right now. So I'm opening a new tab, PHP Artisan Serve, just get the server running. I highly recommend you guys just do the PHP Artisan Serve. A lot of you guys are overcomplicating it when I'm looking in the comments, trying to run like MySQL and stuff. MySQL will run, if you've installed it from the actual MySQL website, it should be running when you launch. You can control those in your system preferences. And I don't know how this works on Windows. I don't run Laravel on Windows, but I know it's just a similar concept. So you got MySQL here, and you can see that MySQL server is running. And I've got this automatically starting on startup on my computer. So my server is always running in the background, basically, whenever I'm on my computer. And then doing PHP Artisan Serve just makes life a lot easier for you guys. One command, that's all I do to get my server running. And I know a lot of you guys are running all sorts of like virtual machines and stuff. And if you have to do that, then that's what you got to do. But it just makes it easier. So I'm just trying to let you guys know that this is definitely the simplest way to do it. And I haven't found any advantage to using virtual machines, any at all. This has the exact same effect, and it's a lot simpler. So I recommend just doing the PHP Artisan Serve. Anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead, move on in. I'm opening up our project in Sublime. We've got our blog project. And last thing before we get started, I'm going to bring a tab over, and we're going to go to localhost 8000 just to take a look at our website. Okay, so we got this in. We're filling in our blog posts right here. And the next thing I want to do is I actually want to create a menu item up here that says home, and then we'll have blog. And the blog will just represent all of our blog articles. And then that when we click blog, it'll basically be something very, I accidentally clicked back. It'll be something very similar to this. And we're going to basically just display all of our blog posts, okay? So it's like what we would call, if you're working with like WordPress calls this an archive page. So we're basically going to be creating an archive page today. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else we would need to do other than that, and I can't think of anything. One thing I was going to do is come over to our My Actions, and I was going to create a link. And soon what's going to happen is we're going to do authentication in the next video. And what we're going to do in authentication is basically, we're going to have this either say just log in. So when you click my account, or actually just make the whole button. We'll just make the whole button a login button. But if you're logged in, then you'll have a my account button, which will have the thing where you can access posts or access users and stuff like that. So this is where you'll access the locked down information. So that's the other thing we're going to do in this video is I'm going to go ahead and finally create something for blog posts. And when we click this, it'll basically just take us to our /post page where we can see all of our blog posts. And that way we have a way to navigate to that without having to manually type it in. And then down here will obviously be our log out link, which we'll do during the authentication tutorials, which start in the next video. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I just want to show you guys what we're working on first, and then move forward. Okay, so we're going to close this and open up our page. Let's see. Let's start by opening up our view. Well, actually, let's come back to this because let's actually create the controller action first, and then we'll come back and do the actual stuff on the views. it'll make things a little easier. Okay, so first things first, let's actually go to our routes file. So we're going to go under app and then HTTP and then routes. And why do I want to do routes? Well, I want to go ahead and just create a route for to view that archive, what I'm calling the archive page. So the archive page is going to be the page shows all the blog posts. So it's just going to be /blog. So you can see here we created a route for /blog/the slug. But if someone just goes to /blog, we want to display the most recent blog post basically, and we'll have that paginated so they can move to different pages. But the blog is just going to display, say, the top 10 most recent blog posts on the one page, and that's going to be what we call our archive page. But for the purposes of this, that'll be like our index for the blog. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So let's do route get, and of course we're doing a get request because it's just a basic request, and we're just going to type blog in here because once again, this is just the default blog when they go with a get request. So this is a basic route. You guys should know this. Now, what do we want to do? Well, we're going to say that this uses, and we're going to point this to a controller. So we're going to point this to the, I got my fingers in the wrong place on the keyboard. Okay, we're going to say this uses BlogController, and we're going to say get archive. Now you can name whatever this you want it to be, but this is going to correspond with our controller. I'm going to follow along with the WordPress. I don't know why I want to do it. It's just that when I was trying to name this stuff myself, I couldn't think of any better terms than what WordPress already has. And since you guys are probably comfortable and familiar with WordPress, I think it's a good place to start. So the archive page shows all the blog posts. The single page shows a single blog post, okay? So we're going to do get archive, and then the other thing we want to do is we want to name this route. So we're going to give it another thing, saying as, and we're going to call it blog dot, we could do archive or index. Let's do index, just to keep like something similar to CRUD, okay? Blog.index. You know what? Let's actually let's change this archive. Let's just change this to index. That'll be a little more sense. So it's our index of our blog, okay? Because it's going to show all the blog. That makes sense. Okay. So once again, you guys should know this. So we're doing a route get, and then we're going to, what's the URL is the blog, and then it's /blog, but we leave we omit the first slash, and then we add an array for all of our other options here as the second parameter. So you can see this is all an array. Of course, the other way you could write this is you could do this, and this is how I think they do it in the documentation. They do it like this, okay? So they're wrapping the whole thing into a, they wrap this whole second parameter as an array. I don't like that. I think it's ugly. I like to just do the square brackets because it's easier to read in my opinion. Okay, so then we just say blog. It uses the BlogController get index action, and as, you can term it as blog.index, right? So that's how I like to think about this. So we've got our basic route action. We should be good to go. If we ran routes list, I'm not going to do it, but you would see it now popping up. Okay, since we've done it enough times, I'm not going to go through and do it again. Okay, now let's move on over to, let's actually create this get index. So we've got our BlogController get index. Let's now go over to our index and or our controller and create that index. Okay, so here's our BlogController. We're going to open that file up now. You can see we've already got it created here. We've got our first function or action, we call them. A controller, a method inside of a controller is called an action. It's kind of like the fancy term for it. And I'm going to go ahead. I always just like having index at the top, so I'm just creating space. And we're going to do another one here, public function get index. And then we don't need no parameters, so we just leave this thing blank. We open it up, and then we're done. So now we just got to think about what we want to pull into there. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go out and grab all of our posts. So you can see we've already namespaced our post in, so we can access the post method, so the post model, I mean. Here we're using the post model. We grabbed everything with a slug. We match up the slugs. Someone sent me an email today actually confused about the post model, saying we're not using it because it's empty. And I just want to clarify this again, since this is kind of a review episode. I thought it'd be a good time to talk about that. I'm going to move on over to our post model here. And I can definitely understand why this looks like we're not using it. This looks empty as can be, right? It looks like we haven't added anything in here. Well, the reason that we haven't added anything in here is because we were extending model. So you can see here that our post class that we're just creating, this is the model. It extends another class that Laravel has called model. Okay, so this is app model. Or right here, you can actually see that this is where it's pulling in the model. So we're calling it model, but it's actually located here. So if you guys wanted to access this, you just come down here to vendor, and you can come to Laravel, framework, source, illuminate, and then you can just come down to, and then you just follow this. So database, eloquent. So we go database, eloquent, and then model. Here's model right here. Okay, so now we're opening up this model. Now you can see this pulls in all its other stuff, but basically this is all the stuff that's inherited by extending the model. Okay, so even though it looks empty, that model looked empty. I'm gonna keep this open, and let's come back to our other. I'm opening up our BlogController now. Okay, I'm opening up, let's open up the post. Okay, so even though this looks completely empty right now, just know that really what's happening is at runtime, everything from model is getting pulled in to this class. So even though it looks empty, there's actually a ton of stuff going on. If you want to see what's going on, just open up that model and you can see you've got all of this coming down. So there's actually a ton of settings we could work with here, and we could change some stuff of our model if we wanted. So for example, if we want to get rid of some different methods, here you could, if you were creating different column names for your created at and updated at, you were naming I'm just created and updated or something was the name of the columns in your database, you could actually manually override those here, as long as they're consistent with all your models, because all your models extend from this. If you wanted just to override it in your one model, you would just override this on post. You would do it up here at the top, basically up here at the top of your class. Okay, so you can override them on a model basis if you needed to. So try not to do that. But this is where you would do all that stuff, because all of this default, all this information, this magic that I keep calling it that Laravel has is coming from here. Okay, so this is where it's coming from. So it's not actually that magical when you come down here and you can actually read the code that they're using. So anyway, these are a lot of the things we'll see in here. This is a long document, and this is only part of it. But you'll see that we're going to use some of these things like has one, and now you can see what's happening behind the scenes when we use these magical methods. This has one method, well, this is where it comes from, you see? And you can see that there's just tons of stuff. Belongs to, we're going to use that in a few videos. Probably won't use has many through. We'll use belongs to many. We're not going to use more. Here's the destroyed and updated. Anyway, so this is where all this stuff's coming from. So someone is asking, basically, we're not using it. Where is it? No, we are using it. We just haven't. Oops, I just accidentally made something there. We're not going to save this file because I might have made changes to it. And you don't want to mess with this. And then on top of that, there's all of this happening. So we talked at one point about the query builder. Well, you can see here that if you go into Illuminate Database Query Builder, it's obviously pulling that in and calling it Query Builder. But all that query stuff we did in, I think, part 20 or 21, where we were using the Query Builder, all that functionality came from this file here. So if you wanted to go look at the actual source code for that, you could. But it's all being pulled in to that model. So while the model looks empty, it's actually not empty. It's actually jam-packed full of tens of thousands of lines of code. Okay, that model, even though it looks empty, because we've got all of this stuff in there, okay? So I just wanted to show that because I actually have gotten several questions about that. I've gotten a couple on Twitter and a couple emails now of people that have been a little confused about why we created this post controller when it's completely empty. And I understand why you would, I totally understand it. And so that's why I wanted to address that, because it's definitely a completely understandable confusion point, because it looks pretty empty, so it looks like it's a waste of time. But really what we're doing is all the power comes in this line here is when we're extending our model, which means we get access to all that stuff over there. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is what we're going to do in authentication in the next video is we're actually going to write some of our own methods on top of those. And so these will be filled in with, you'll see more of these public function type things. And we're going to create those in the next, in Authentication, we'll start messing with those. And if we do some advanced, we will do some advanced Laravel tutorials in the future where you're going to have to add a lot more to your model. But because posts has been basically just a CRUD controller and we haven't done anything really crazy, we've just been doing the basic CRUD functions. All those CRUD functions are built into the model, and so we haven't had to write our own functions for them. Okay, and that's why this continues to be blank, but we are using it. So I'm going to go ahead, just kill this. We're not going to save anything. I just wanted to bring that up because when we did say post where, this is using the model. And so again, I know a lot of you guys are thinking we're not using the model, but we are. Every time we access post here, we're using the model. We're actually using the model a ton. Okay, and we're about to use the model again. So let's use the model to grab all of the posts on the page. So we're going to create an object called posts. We're going to set it equal. Set it equal to post, and then we're going to do all. Actually, you know what we're going to do is we're just going to do paginate, because we don't want all of them. We're just going to want to paginate. We're just going to paginate 10 items, okay? So we're just going to do post paginate 10. That's going to pull in 10 items. We talked about pagination before. We're going to go ahead and create the we're going to render the like next and forward on the bottom, so that if there's more pages, you can just click next and back, and then this will automatically handle all of the page queries and stuff like that automatically. So we're just going to do post paginate 10, and then that just tells us to put 10 per page, and then that magical paginate section, which again, where does paginate come from? It comes from the model. It's inherited from that overall model class. So if we went back in there, we could see the paginate class. That was one of the things it pulls in, which means it's in our post model. Even though it looks empty, it's actually in there, okay? So that's where paginate's coming from. So we're gonna do post paginate. That's gonna grab all of our items, and then we are going to just return view, and we're gonna do blog.index, and we're going to do with posts, and bring in our post, okay? Simple stuff, posts. Very basic. So that's actually all it's needed for index. I'm trying to think if we need anything else, and nothing is coming to mind right now. So let's go on over to our view now, set up our view, and then we can run it in our on our page. So, okay, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this file. I'm gonna close it. We can close our routes. I'm just gonna clean up everything here, and then we're gonna head on over to, because we got lots of stuff open. Okay, so now we're gonna go to resources, views, and under blog, you can see we've got our single.blade.php. Let's create a new file, and we're going to call it, we're going to save it and call it index.blade.php. All right, so now we're going to blog.index. That's what we just said to go to. And now we're going to set that up. We're going to extend main. We're going to create a title, and we're going to set the title equal to vertical bar, and then we'll just do blog. We'll just have blog be the title of it. Then we're going to create another section, and that'll be our content. And then we're going to come down here and just do end section, or you can do stop, whichever. Okay. I just like doing end section because it seems like it matches a little better. I don't know. They do the same thing. Okay. Now is where we write our code. So let's just think about really what we want to do. So let's just create a create basic like row. And then we're going to create column MD12, and then we'll just create an H1 that says blog. And then down here, let's just create another row. Let's see. Okay, so this is actually where we're going to loop through things. So let's create an individual blog post, and then we'll just loop through it. So we'll just create another row. Every time we'll just create a row for every blog post. That seems easy. And then we'll just create column MD. Let's just do MD12 again. Well, let's do MD8. Let's actually do column. Let's offset it too. So I like to offset, if you can tell. I like white space. Okay. Then inside of here, we're going to put we'll do like an H2 for our title. Title, that'll be a blog post title. And then let's see. We'll just do a little bit of, let's do like an H5, which is like a caption, and we'll just do published, and then the date. that it was published. And then we'll do our body tag. And then we'll just do a read more. Okay, so we've already done this a ton of times, guys. I know it seems boring, so I'm just flying through it. If you guys want to skip to the next video and you feel confident with it, feel free to do that. Okay, now we're just going to fill it in. So we're going to do for each. And we're going to do posts as post. And then we'll just do an end for each down here. Okay, and then we're going to come down into here and we're going to do post title. We're going to do post. Let's just do created at. Okay, so I forgot about this. We actually need to make wrap that in Blade, and then we're also going to wrap this in Blade. So yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this in Blade real fast. And then what we're going to do here is we're actually going to do our date method. If you guys want to use carbon, I'm going to save carbon. I thought about doing carbon on this one, but instead of adding a new item, I think I'm just going to keep carbon for its own little video. So we're just going to do this for now. And then we need this here. So again, this you guys should know, we just create our date format, and then we turned our post created at time into a Unix time string so that it can convert it. And we wrapped that whole thing in Blade so that it outputs the final time into our published thing. And then down here, we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna do post, body, and then down here, we're going to do our URLs. So we're going to do route, and we're going to do, what is it? Shoot. Post.show. No, not post.show. Blog. All right, let's just run our list real quick. PHP artisan route list. And this is why these things are helpful, because even I forget sometimes. Okay, it's post blog.single. That's what we're doing. So we're going to go to blog.single. And then we're gonna, second parameter of route will just be the ID number for the blog post. So we'll just do post ID like that. All right, and then this will output a URL for this link, and this will say read more. Oh, and then we want to truncate the blog post as well. So we're just gonna do the truncating. Okay, so then we're just gonna do substring post body. And then we'll just do start from 0, so start from the beginning, and we'll just do, I'm thinking like we want to do like 250 characters because we want a little bit longer. So we'll do 250 characters, and then that'll be good. And you know what? Do we want to do the, okay, if we want to do the ellipsis, we got to do the string length. We got to do this again where we do string length. And then we grab the post body. So we're seeing the length of the body. And then if the body is greater than 250, then we're going to add the ellipses like this, the ... And if it is not, then we're just going to do nothing. Okay, so this will output the first 250 characters of the string. If it's more than 250, this will test if it's more than 250. And if it is, it'll add the dots. If not, it won't. So that's what's happening here. Basic, this is what we've done up to this point. And then we're gonna have our read more link, which will take us to our blog.single and attach the post ID. Let's go ahead and save that, and let's take a look at it in the browser. Let me pull it over here. Localhost 8000, and we're going to go to blog. Oh, we get an error. Okay, so parse error, we most likely forgot a semicolon. Let's go take a look. So this is in, okay, well, it's on the blog controller. So let's take a look at our blog controller. So we're going to go to app, HTTP, controllers, blog controller. Just take a look. Okay, I don't think we're missing any semicolons. Let's come back. So return view. Oh, we've got to have some sort of parse error. What does it say? Okay, well then is it in here? Let's just take a look in here now. Okay, we grab our post title, we've got our dates. So if we don't have, okay, so sorry, with parse errors, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. With parse errors, it's a PHP error. I think we've mentioned that in the past. So when you get a parse error, you're generally looking for semicolons, or the other really common thing is not enough parentheses. So that's what we're looking for. So I checked our controller. Our controller didn't have any semicolons, so now we're looking into our, you basically just move backwards to what you've been working on. So the other thing we worked on was this page. So let's check semicolons on here. So we've got a semicolon here, we got a semicolon there, and then those two match up. It seems like that's good. I think that's okay. Then over here, oh, you can see because this looks funny. See the coloring is off? That's when you know that something's up. Oh, it's because we've got a $sign here for some reason. Okay, there we go, substring, that's correct. So that's kind of a weirder error. I don't know why I typed as $sign there, but I was probably, oh, it's because this needs a $sign. That's why. Somehow I wrote the $sign and then substring got put in between the $sign and post. Okay, so substring, $sign post body, there we go. That's good, that's our error. Let's save that and let's refresh our page. There we go, now it works. Blog, we get all of our posts and it looks good. And then we'll have our pagination at the bottom. So now we just got to add the pagination links. We don't have enough blog posts for pagination, but we will go ahead and add them anyway. Okay, so then we want to do after our for each, we want to go to after the for each, and then we're going to want to do them down here. So once again, we got to make another row. Let's just make, it doesn't really, let's just do another column, MD12, just to get a column in there. And then we're going to do another div, and we'll just do a text center div just to center it. And then inside of there, we can do, we'll do the bang bang type of blade. And then we'll do our posts and then links like that. Okay, we save that, come back over here, refresh, and we don't get anything. Let's see, does it not show our, here, let's just run over to our controller real fast. PHP controller. BlogController. Let's just cut this down to 2 or something so we know we'll have multiple pages and refresh. Okay, so I guess it doesn't show pagination if it doesn't need to. So in this case, there's fewer blog posts than there are like all the blog posts fit on one page, so it doesn't show pagination. Let's get rid of this. Let's go back to 10 like that. But now, so it won't show up if there's nothing, but that's okay. At least we know it's working. Last few changes, let's move the blog over so it's tight, it's in line with these, and then so we're gonna put it in a column 8 that's offset by 2 again, and then let's change these links to be buttons, and then we're done. Oh, we're not quite done. We're gonna do a couple things on the other page, but we're almost done. So let's come back over to index.blade, and we're going to go, okay, these A links. Let's add a class here, and we're just gonna set btn primary, and that's it. That'll just make a nice little blue button. And then what else? Oh, up here, this column, let's change this to column MD8 and then column MD offset 2 like that. And I think that'll clean this page up. Yeah, we can add a horizontal rule under each of these maybe. Let's just do that. Let's add a horizontal rule. The one thing you could do that I'm not going to bother with is, let's do it after our link. So after our link, we'll do the horizontal rule. And then this will unfortunately create an extra horizontal rule here at the bottom. So down here, you'll create an extra one. You could see which part of the loop you're in and see if you're on the last item and then not create a horizontal rule. I'm not going to worry about it, but that's something you could do. But that's not really the point. That's not the point of this tutorial, so I'm not going to get into it. Okay, now up to the top, I just wanted to add, up here I want to add the blog, and then we want to add our posts down here. So that's all in our navigation. Let's go ahead and finish that up, and then we're done with the video. So let's come on over. We're going to go, let's just clean up. We got a lot of stuff open here. So let's come back up, get rid of that. Let's just close everything. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to go over to our resources. We're going to go to our views, which we've got, and then we're going to go to our main.blade.php. Okay, so we want to work with the navigation. Now you can see our navigations in our partials. So let's come over to partials and then nav. All right, and let's add that blog button. So we've got our home, we've got our about, we've got our contact. Let's add blog right here in between these. So let's just copy this one, copy, paste, and then we're gonna change this to be blog. And then we'll just say we'll just change it to be blog. And that should highlight the blog ones. And then we just need to change this link to be /blog, just like that. Perfect. Okay, so that sets that thing up. And then the last one here is my account. We're gonna set up in the authentication next video. Well, maybe not actually in the next video, but it'll take a few parts to finish the authentication. But throughout that video, at some point, we'll go through and we'll actually have like an if-then statement, and we'll see if someone's logged in. And if they are logged in, then we'll show this my account. And if they're not logged in, then we'll show a login button instead of a my account button. So that will change this a little bit down there. But for now, we could just we'll just do a posts. And then down here at the bottom, this will become a log out button. Like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and save all that. Let's head back over to our project. You can see now that we've got our blog button, it's highlighted that we're on our blog. So if we come back over to home, we can now just click our blog, which is really easy. Like that. And then also under my accounts, we didn't put a link here. We just changed the text. Last quick thing. So over here, we got to actually change this. Let's do our route, and we're going to do posts.index, save that. And now let's come back over here and refresh. And now if we come up here to posts, it actually takes us to our posts. So we can manage our posts really easily. So now we can actually navigate. We don't need to do any of that manual typing up here at the top like we've been doing. That's why I wanted to get that stuff all fixed before we moved on to authentication, was just because there's some of these little things that while they're not difficult, they need to be done, and I wanted to kind of go through them with you guys. So if you watched them, good for you, sticking it out, even though you may have known all this stuff. It's really good to have the review. The next video, we move on to authentication, which is what you guys are dying for. I know you're dying for. I'm trying to give it justice, since you guys really, really want to do this. Like, do a good job with this. I'm just trying to make sure I do a really good job with the authentication. So anyway, that's coming from this video. I'm filming it right now. I'm actually going to finish this video and then start filming those videos. So those will be coming out very soon. Tomorrow at the latest, because I'll definitely be doing them today, but I might actually publish them today as well. So you might get them the same day you get this video. I'm just going to decide. I haven't decided yet. Okay, so anyway, that's what we got today. I will see you guys in the authentication. Thanks for working hard. I'll see you in the next video.